AirWreckRadio.
Hey, did you guys hear Aunt May died today?
It's a goddamn joke. It's quid pro quo de facto. This democracy's a hoax. Stacey says, man, it's time to act. Keep your wallet where your heart is. We can take the power back. So go get a bowl, a spoon, and some cereal, and sit your ass down. It's time for AirWreck Radio. It is the second day of June in the beautiful year of 2014. It is a little humid out.
A little. It's a little humid.
It's a little humid out.
A little. I'm actually raising bread on my balls. It's a little humid.
But we suffer through 8 months of terrible winter here where we live. Let's enjoy the humid while we have it. I'm Cory.
And I'm Stacey.
And this is, I don't know, 56, I think.
Who
I don't
cares?
know. Who cares?
Whatever.
Of AirWreckRadio.
That's right. You heard it here first, folks. AirWreckRadio. Who cares?
Who gives a shit? Your friendly neighborhood podcast here to tell you about all sorts of delightful things and maybe, hopefully, provoke a reaction. Whether it's laughing, whether it's crying, whether it's shaking your head in shame and turning us off.
You know what's better than all of those things that people can do to give us some reaction?
What's that, Stace?
They can email us at airwreckradio@gmail.com, or they can tweet us, Twitter at airwreckradio, at AWR at CPainRun.
But, and of course, most importantly, like any other good social media whore, please go to the Facebook.
Fuck Facebook. Go to the Twitter. Go to my Twitter.
Go to the Facebook.
Fuck this show.
Love
me.
us.
Love me. Don't worry about Cory. He'll be fine. He's tough.
Love us on the Facebook.
He can handle it.
Love Stacey because he needs the attention.
I do, apparently.
Apparently. Well, you know, it happens.
Yeah, I guess so.
Nancy boy.
Whatever.
All right, whatever. You wanted to lead the show off?
Yes.
What would you like to discuss?
I wanted to talk about what I had for dinner tonight because I'm really very happy about it.
Oh, this sounds like riveting podcasting.
Yeah, we had SpaghettiOs. Ta-da. No, that's not true. We don't.
I was just about to say, but for us, at least it's a callback to something we've been talking about. And then you said SpaghettiOs, and I was like, I've got nothing.
Yeah, we haven't spent any time talking about SpaghettiOs. We don't have SpaghettiOs in my house, actually.
That's probably a good policy.
Yeah. So this weekend, I went out on a limb, and I made bread. So
On your balls?
No. No, that was just for fun. Take that how you want. Honestly, I don't care. I'm not going to try to defend myself.
You saw my mouth
Yeah,
forming words.
Yeah, I saw your mouth forming something. There's bread down there? Ugh, gross. So, I made bread this weekend. I made wheat bread for sandwiches. And Cory,
It was delicious.
it didn't turn out perfect. It was the first time I've ever baked bread, but it's very good.
Bread is delicious.
when
Fresh
we-
baked bread is delicious.
When we take a break, I will give you a slice if you'd like a slice.
Sure, I'll take it.
It's nice and soft and doughy. It didn't rise as much as I thought it should. Apparently, wheat bread, when you use wheat flour instead of white flour,
Mhm.
you got to use more water or this and that. You know what? We're on a learning curve.
You know what? And we can figure it out. Once you get the recipe figured out, you can post it to the AirWreck Radio Facebook and Twitter.
First time out, pretty good. All I can do is hope that the yeast from the bread doesn't contaminate or cross-mix with the yeast from the beer. Because there is currently 10 gallons of beer brewing in my kitchen as well.
God, we could get some very bready beer.
Yeah.
Or some very beery bread. This would be fun.
This is a fun experiment. Let's go see
Well,
what
no,
happens.
it could either be really fun
Or really messy.
vis-a-vis we make alcoholic beer and alcoholic bread. Or it could be no fucking fun at all, but at least we'll have bread.
And a mess to clean up.
So tonight for dinner we had egg sandwiches with chicken scrap fed one of Tammy's, my wife, one of her coworkers has chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So we get eggs from him.
Uh-huh. They're fed what now?
Chicken scraps. Or, yeah, not chicken scraps. Did I say chicken scraps?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I said it with confidence, too. I meant kitchen scraps.
Okay.
They're very similar words.
Eat cannibal chicken eggs.
Chickens will eat chickens. They're
I mean,
fine.
they certainly will. They're
omnivores.
You should not do that. That cannot be good for you or the chicken.
No, it's not the best way to feed. Using kitchen scraps, table scraps
I get
to
what you're
feed
saying.
the chickens.
So, cow.
Whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They're omnivores. They'll eat anything.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it sounds like a delicious, healthy, nutritious dinner.
It's cool. It was almost completely a non-store-bought meal. It was very exciting.
Almost completely. What do you need? You got to make your own mayonnaise?
No, we didn't put mayonnaise. Oh, but that's easy enough to do. You just a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of egg.
Mm-hmm.
You just whisk it around for, I don't know, 4 or 7 hours or something like that. I don't know.
Takes like 2 seconds.
Longer than it takes to like scoop it out of the jar. That's for damn sure. No, we needed butter.
Boutre.
Nobody's churning butter here. We've all got better things to do with our time.
Little boutre. I can't believe it's not boutre.
I'm pretty sure it's not boutre, actually. So while I was eating my dinner, I go through my mail. This is what I usually do at dinner time, is I sit down with my dinner and I start going through the mail. And in the mail today, I got a letter from New York State Senator Patrick M. Gallivan. And I was like, oh my, I'm going to read this.
Patrick who now?
Patrick M. Gallivan. He is our 59th District Senator.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I can't keep all the crooks with you straight.
That's understandable. Dear Mr. Coughlin, you and I both want children to be safe in school. Strong start. Unfortunately,
Addressing me personally, too.
Yeah.
I must know him.
Yeah, wow. You and I both want children to be safe in school. Unfortunately, we are both familiar with the heartbreaking school shootings that have occurred in recent years. Additionally, bullying and drug use continue to be concerns in our schools that have the potential to lead to tragic results.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Now, these schools, do they have human beings inside of them?
Yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just in case you're picking up what I'm laying down.
Yeah, no,
here.
that's
Those are things that human beings do.
that's
They
what,
bully people and they do drugs.
that's kind of my point. That's part of my point. So, first paragraph in, we're already pretty clear that you and I at least agree a little bit on why we don't necessarily agree with this strongly stated opener.
Dear Mr. Coughlin.
Moving along. This is the part that really convinces me. As a former sheriff and state trooper, I am keenly aware that unaddressed problems with youth during their teens often turns into serious law enforcement issues once students graduate. Bold letters. That's why I am excited to announce that this year's budget includes an important initiative that will help to keep our children, schools, and communities safer. Now,
Okay, well, children and communities and schools being safer, these are all very good
yes,
words.
that's why they're in bold.
Safer.
So that if you don't read anything and you only read the bold lettered stuff in this,
Safer children. Yay.
So, Senator Gallivan, I understand that as a former sheriff, you're going to feel like what the world needs is more police. I get that.
A little biased. And that, that bad teenagers always turn out to be criminals.
That too. Have you seen the way the police have been reacting all over YouTube this past 5 years?
In the wake of all these unfortunate, brutal police encounters.
I mean, I only say 5 years. That's probably wrong. I bet if you just went back and, was YouTube around right after 9/11?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
I bet.
No, it was.
I bet you could find a lot of police brutality videos from those years too. And I'm not saying that all cops are police brutal, but
However, as a rule, the police of any sort, of any time, of any kind, tend to be a little brutal and corrupt.
I don't think that's a blanket statement that I'm not going to agree with. You can say what you want.
Maybe it's a little blankety, especially for modern day times. But I'm thinking police corruption is not a song that is a new hymn. I think they've been writing that one for a long time.
Yeah. The thing is, with all this misbehavior that we've seen among cops and this attitude, we all know that people in authority lately have this attitude. We've all experienced it. The Snap-on guy for the other day, he tells me this story. He says he's working at one of the fairs in town. You know, it's fair season in New York, so there's fairs everywhere. And he's working at one of them, cooking. He's cooking food all day. In the evening, he goes with his daughter, who's 22 and goes to school out of state. They go to the beer tent. She gets served. Nobody says nothing. On the way out of the beer tent, one of the bouncers at the beer tent stops them, asks for their licenses. She gives them her school ID because that's what she's got. They reached over this dude to grab the beer out of his daughter's hand because she had an out-of-state ID. This is just one example of, and this isn't even necessarily a cop. But we've all seen people in authority recently. The way they behave is not super commendable. And again, I'm not saying that all cops are bad. But what I am saying is that the behavior coming from their end of things lately hasn't been something that really makes me feel like I need to be, it isn't really something that makes me feel like we need to have a police officer in school training up our children to accept that kind of behavior from police officers.
Taking the brainwashing.
That's it.
Basis. Yeah, and I don't know how at any time law enforcement officers equal more freedom.
No. Well, this isn't about freedom. This is about being safe. It's the opposite. This doesn't say anything. All this bold letters, not one of these bold letters is freedom.
Or rights.
No? Keep our children, schools, and communities safer.
Good
now,
things, yay!
How exactly is a cop that maybe wanders the halls during class time going to prevent a shooting? Now, I understand that once a shooting started, it's probably good to have a cop there, I guess. But it's the issue.
Wouldn't this wind up with a dead cop at a school shooting?
Like, it could.
Wouldn't if you were planning the school shooting?
Yeah,
and
wouldn't
you
that be
knew the
the
cop
first?
was there? Wouldn't you just wait till you could walk up behind the cop and plug him first?
I suppose that's a solid point.
Just saying.
This doesn't really address the problem. The problem isn't that children shoot children, or it isn't that children bully, or it isn't that children use drugs. The problem is, why do they do these things? It's not because they don't have enough police presence in their life.
Yeah, no, that's probably not the answer.
That's not it. Maybe it's because of a million other reasons, but none of those reasons is because they don't see enough cops in their life.
Well, maybe it would just be easier to, infiltrate the brainwashing early.
Yeah, that's it,
so that
Cory.
when these ones grow up, they'll just be willingly acceptive of the police state that will be enforced upon them.
And I don't think, hey man, there's a fair portion of people incarcerated these days. It's more than fair. More people are in jail than work on farms.
There are more laws now than there ever have been.
Well, there are more people too. We need a law for every person.
At least one.
Maybe four for some.
Sometimes four.
For the first time, the New York State budget includes an allocation to help school districts afford school resource officers, SROs. Now, I underlined here. Now I need your help to put SROs in all the classrooms in the 59th Senatorial District.
Sir, these SRO programs are going to cause jobs. Are you against jobs being created? Sorry.
I'm not for all kinds of jobs, I think is a safe thing to say there. There are jobs like I don't think we need more executioners.
Well, that's a fair point.
I felt like it was. Back to bold letters. An SRO program places a trained law enforcement professional where they can best protect our state's children in the school. Before I move on, I'd like to make a point here. The function of schools isn't to protect children, but to provide them with a safe learning environment, not a pseudo-prison system environment. SRO programs foster collaboration between law enforcement, school staff, students, and parents to provide safe learning environments and safe communities. Now, I do believe that having officers in school can be a positive thing for some children. I do believe that. I definitely do. I just don't think... I think we can make an argument here without trying to make me feel scared for my children. Because I already have that.
I feel like having an officer in the school would probably help to tour some school shootings, but I already gave an instance where it wouldn't matter.
I don't think it would. I honestly don't think it would change the percentage.
In a long-term thing, I think it might.
Maybe.
It would. I think it would stop the crazy guy, like the Sandy Hook, where it was a guy from the outside who broke in.
Yeah.
I think it might help prevent some of that.
If the cop was in the right place at the right time.
At least the death count could have been lower.
Sure. It's not this isn't a plan without
merit. Yeah. And I understand.
The big trouble here is that you're not going to make us safer. The best way to make us safer is not to take away our freedom, even if it's in this illusory manner. It's not to drown us in law enforcement officers. There needs to be some fundamental shift in the way people raise their children. And in the things they're allowed to do when raising their children. Now, I'm not talking about beating your children, but fuck's sake, they can do some work. And I'm not talking about abusive child labor, but I'm talking about good, honest work that makes good, honest people.
I tend to agree with you on that, but I don't know I don't know. Maybe it's part of it. I mean, I don't think it's all of it.
Children
that leads to these school shootings, but I think it's definitely part of it.
What do they say about
parenting?
Idle hands?
Yeah, do the devil's work.
Right. Why are children's hands idle? Because they're not allowed to do any work. They're protected, in air quotes, from doing work.
Oh, well, then let's get their little asses in the factory.
Go stitch up some fucking Nikes. No, that's not what I mean at all. That is definitely not what I mean. But
it would really help this economy if you went to work, you lazy fucks.
They could be doing something. I mean, I'm not talking about making them go to work full time. I'm just talking about giving them creative, constructive outputs that aren't playing video games.
Yeah, after you're done drawing.
All the time. I almost said that involved like shooting people all over the place, but that's not really, that makes it sound like I'm anti-video game, which I'm not.
You can't disagree. There's some kind of desensitization there.
Absolutely.
And I'm very pro video game, but there's some sense of form of desensitization there.
The only thing kids are allowed to do anymore is play video games.
But after you're done drawing, go vacuum.
Yeah.
Vacuum the house.
No skateboarding. See those signs all over the place. No skateboarding. No
loitering.
Playing, no loitering. Now, I understand the purpose for those signs. I do. But
well, as a business owner in this country, I can't be liable for you being on my property unless you're a paying customer and you're covered by my insurance.
See, and that kind of insurance fear, that's part of the problem too. It's not just that we need police officers in our schools. I intend to respond to this email, or to this letter
with an even longer. Just send them this audio. It'll be taking forever to get through.
The reason we're doing this here is so that I can help organize my thoughts and get some counter input. Listeners, if you have any counter input, reminder, we love to hear from you. And we already told you where. So rewind this shit, listen to it all over again. Kabam.
AirWreckRadio.com.
However, he continues, SRO programs are not cheap. Typically, that's the one. They will require $100,000 or more to fund. Many of the low-wealth rural school districts I represent, this is cost prohibitive.
Yeah, welcome to New York State.
Isn't there something better we could do with $100,000?
Farmland.
Couldn't each of these schools do something better with $100,000? How about
books,
iPads,
comfier
chairs, more varied learning environment.
How
All
about
right.
we pull it all together and launch an investigation into our schooling system as a whole and how we
Hey.
can make it more effective?
I like that one too. I have a suggestion for that one. Picture this, Cory. Your day-to-day life involves doing nothing but going from room to room, where in each room you will spend 40 minutes being told things that you don't give a damn about by dry-talking people who are afraid to make waves or be exciting or be interesting. And every 40 minutes, you need to switch subjects, and you got to keep up with all that, and that is what it takes to be a successful citizen.
And until
What?
until we trust you to act correctly on your own through our indoctrination, you have to walk single file when you get there.
Yes.
I would like to point out you're also walking through a building who is clearly designed to be cold and sterile and hospital-like.
Yes.
And then you have what is clearly the reaction of the humans, and we put a bunch of color around.
You will sit in orderly rows at uncomfortable chairs with uncomfortable tables.
And I'm seeking more of elementary school. Like, my kid's elementary school looks like a friggin' hospital for insane people.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. Your kid goes to the same school
The
district.
same people build those
the buildings.
buildings.
Are the same, and they're 100 years old, and you can tell that they're from a time when they didn't try to stimulate the kids.
Right.
They're trying to subdue them even more.
Right. How about, I don't know, how about could we just spend a little more time thinking about what are the real things we can do to help prevent school shootings by cutting them off at the roots, by preventing children from not knowing how to manage their emotions?
By killing the rotten children.
Maybe.
Take
No.
to the streets and kill the rotten children.
No, that's not what we do. You don't go to the streets for that. You go to the... Last year,
You better
working
leave
with
it in.
5 school districts in Erie County and the Erie County Sheriff's Office, I developed and allocated funding for the first of its kind shared SRO program. Sharing of this valuable resource at a reduced cost. Oh, I missed a line there. Anyway, $100,000 a room. And Senator Gallivan really needs your help to tell the schools that you want this in your schools. Now, I really need your help to tell the schools that while you don't know for sure that you do or don't want this, you'd like to see some other options for the use of that $100,000.
How about we just give this a little bit more consideration? Now that you've brought this interesting idea to the floor, in a reasonable way, we might be able to pay for it and allocate it. You've done the groundwork, the
Right.
footwork. Now let's discuss it.
May we have some choices, Senator Gallivan?
Or at least here's his choice, and now let's see, okay, that's his choice. But somebody's going to speak up and say, hey, what if we did this, or what if we did that, or was it really going to help? Is it not going to really help? What do the experts say? A therapist say this would help, or would a therapist say it wouldn't help? Let's get some more input. Now that the idea's out there, not just send me some cash. Or
Yeah.
whatever he's asking for, your votes, whatever.
One thing I'd like to know is this SRO, this
What is it? School recess officer?
school resource officer.
That's close.
That doesn't sound like cop, which makes me wonder, is this a plainclothes or uniformed officer?
Also, a very good question. Is this a guy sitting in an office in plain clothes?
I will tell you, I would like this much better if he didn't look like a cop.
I agree with you. If he didn't have the full uniform
Yeah.
on. Maybe even if he had a lighter version of the
Cops
uniform.
are generally less
Some-
likely to behave like assholes when they're not wearing their asshole uniform.
And I mean, as far as the indoctrination of the police state and our children, if he was just Mr. Cooper, the friendly guy who stands at the doors when they come in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't you let me catch you hanging with Mr. Cooper. He's a narc.
But you know what I'm saying. If he was just, the friendly guy at the door when we come in, waving hi to all the children,
Yeah.
then I don't know that. I mean, that would be a different conversation.
I also don't want him to be a Walmart greeter with a gun.
That's also a good point.
Is what came to my mind right there. I don't want this person to be overweight. I want this person to be a role model if they're going to be there. I do not want to see a fat cop. I don't want to see a TSA official. I especially don't want to see...
privatized. No privatized.
If we're going to have a cop in our schools, I definitely want them to be a model of coppery.
What?
Copishness?
I'm sorry, what now?
Copulation.
That's definitely not the right one.
I think it is. And I think it's time for break.
Sounds good to me.
Finally, a show for the people. Men of such sensitivity and caring.
And I'm sorry to any of our black listeners.
We have black listeners? Men of such professionalism and style.
Clearly I fucked up.
I thought that's what it looked like when you were in control.
Alright, now shut up.
Men of integrity. I was more worried about midget porn, but you have a good point about,
I was trying to be, to reach the broader audience than the...
I don't do that. And men of courage.
You fucking kidding me?
Oh my god, we're terrible at this.
It can only be AirWreckRadio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to AirWreckRadio. It's time for Headline News.
Headline News.
Cory, Headline News was turned down too low. Do it again. Do it again. Come on, push the button. Do it.
Headline News.
That's better. Folks, wasn't that better? I think it was better. Why don't you email us at airwreckradio@gmail.com and tell us if you thought the first time or the second time was better.
Just make sure you swing by AirWreckRadio.com while you're there.
Yes.
Give us the hit. Give us the hit. Give us the hit. Are you ready, sir?
I am born ready.
Beijing. Google services are being disrupted in China ahead of this week's 25th anniversary of the 1989 crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators around Beijing's Tiananmen Square, a censorship watchdog said on Monday.
We putting a crackdown on demonstrator.
You will
Also,
get no freedom.
We run you over with tank.
Light shit on fire. GreatFire.org said in a blog post that the government appeared to have been targeting Google Incorporated's main search engine and Gmail, among many other services, since at least last week, making them inaccessible to many users in, the homeland of China.
China's making a lot of moves these days.
Aggressively seeming.
Well, aggressive, yeah.
Not Russia aggressive.
No, they're definitely like...
But not Israel.
They're dealing with their own people and their own economy and their own smog-filled living rooms.
But not New York Jew passive aggressive.
No.
That's much more us.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, that's definitely not China's. China doesn't like to come into their people's living room with guns and tell them how we're making you safer.
Yeah, no, they just tell you that we're here with the guns because we're here with the guns.
Yeah. Oh, we're China government. This is just
what we do.
That's not actually what they do. I mean, it used to be. For a while, it was. They had to get some shit done. They really had to get their economy rolling. Now their economy's rolling.
I hear the
making
local
moves.
governments aren't quite as in some of the more foreign, like the countryside. Rural
There's a lot of China.
There's a lot of
China.
Like there's still dry counties in this country from leftover from Prohibition. You're telling me there's not some local governments in the backwoods of China that things aren't quite fucking right way? You know what I'm saying?
Training up an armory of samurais.
It is not clear that the block is a temporary measure around the anniversary or a permanent block. But because the block has lasted for 4 days, it's most likely that Google will be severely disrupted and barely usable from now on, said an advocacy group. So
That's too bad.
I thought this was a good story to lead with since we were talking about police governments,
police
states.
I wonder why China says they've done this. I wonder about that. How do they justify that to their people, or do they just not bother?
No.
Doesn't appear to say in the story. This story is from Reuters.
And there's no quote in the story from him.
And it is fresh up today. So perhaps we will follow this story and find more. It sucks to be...
I got a quote from Google.
What does Google have to say about this situation?
Do
Do they know who we are? We have the Deca arm and that robot dog.
From Boston Robotics.
The one Rush, Mega Man's dog.
We've checked extensively, and there's nothing wrong on our end, says Google. And the other quote I have is from a Twitter service. User of China's popular Twitter. Blah, 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 blah.
How about this, Google? Fix this shit for China.
How about they're trying? China's government shutting them down.
Try harder. Listen, I would feel a lot more comfortable about Google and China's government if I knew Google could get past China's roadblocks.
Remember that Google has been encrypting their emails and their Google searches so that the Chinese government cannot track them.
And yet they've still managed to shut them out. That's sad.
Yeah, I think, well, that's probably why, since they're very pro-democracy stimulating.
Google
Yes.
or China?
Google.
Okay.
Because China is not a true democratic, well, no thing is, but
China's not a...
they're still partially communist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I should have said.
Hey, man, but look at their economy. Their economy has boomed and boomed again and boomed one more time. 4 years running. Doubled their national growth without accepting loans from
You know why?
from corporate hitmen.
You know why?
Why?
Because corporations like Google, not saying corporate hitmen, but corporations like Google build research facilities there. They build projects there, like their new $1 billion satellite fleet. All of it constructed in the Chinese.
Well, that's because you can pay Chinese slave labor rates instead of American
No,
slave labor rates.
Satellites aren't kind of put together in a factory, buddy. They're put together by hand.
In a satellite factory. It's different than a peach factory, but it's still downtown. Millions of satellites. Satellites for me. Moving on.
Google plans to spend more than $1 billion on a fleet of satellites to extend internet access to unwired regions of the globe. People familiar with the project said hoping to overcome the financial and technical problems that have thwarted previous efforts.
I like the way you're saying your words tonight. It's very non-enunciative.
Thank you. Details remain in flux, the people said, but the project will start with 180 small, high-capacity satellites orbiting the Earth at lower altitudes than traditional satellites, and then they could expand.
Well, that's cool.
So they're investing $1 billion privatized money into more satellites for even higher internet connections.
I like higher internet connection.
Bringing internet to the people.
Do they mean like higher elevation of internet connection, or do they mean more? Because like I get it, you got to send them to space, and suddenly we have higher internet access.
I get it. You're cute. No, they mean bringing the internet to the people that don't have it. Bringing what might be one of mankind's greatest tools to the people that don't have it now.
Capitalism?
No, sir. The internet. But same.
Okay.
I see where you're going with that. I see where you are. Yeah.
I wish Google was building these not in China, but at the same time, I'm happy for China.
No, that explains. That was just a segue so I could get to the next Google story.
Moving on.
I don't want to move on from here. Oh, yes,
you
I
meant
am.
back to this story.
I know.
Not on to the next story. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, okay.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, we are moving on.
We can move on because that's what I've got for that.
Folks, if you're having trouble keeping up, so are we.
Speaking of police state, Google in China. Speaking of Google, Google launches satellites. Speaking of Google again, Samsung launches first Tizen phone. Samsung Electronics has launched the world's first smartphone powered by the Tizen operating system. The Samsung Z will go on sale in Russia in July to September quarter.
What is the Tizen operating system?
Most Samsung phones currently use the Android. Here's where the Google
this is
segue came in.
Samsung is making an operating system?
Platform, yes. But the South Korean firm has been working with chipmaker Intel to develop Tizen, an alternate operating system.
That's exciting because we all know iPhones suck now.
The balls.
The bready balls.
The bready balls. It is seen as a way to make Samsung less dependent on Android's developer Google. It enables Samsung to hedge its bets much better compared to some of its rivals. Excuse me.
That's good.
Says Andrew Malloy, vice president with consulting firm Frost & Sullivan.
You know what this is? Competition.
Yes, that's exactly what that
I
is.
love it. You know what I don't love about this kind of competition, though? I don't love that it's competition for a South Korean firm to compete with a American firm that builds a lot of their shit in South Korea and Asia in general.
Yeah.
How about, isn't there...
But there's at least on the aspect, if you can look at it this way, at least it's the advancement of technology. That's how technology
Absolutely.
advances.
Hey, I love that, but isn't there? Don't you think we could get some technological advancements out of an American-grown, American-made?
Maybe we should stop taxing the companies and the people to death.
Maybe the people, then they could afford to start up their startup companies because it's just like with young trees versus old trees. Old trees are good. They're big. They're giant. They've been around forever. But young trees sequester more carbon. Did you know that?
I did not know.
I didn't know that either until I learned it. But it makes a good, analogy for this situation. So your old trees are your old big corporate heads, who have a gazillion dollars. All of them. Each one of them has at least $1 gazillion. Fact. Tiny newborn trees, the bustling baby businesses that will just love to be not employed or not unemployed in today's American economy, they'd like some of that gazillion dollars. And they could do it if they were free to start new entrepreneurial businesses, like things like making a new cell phone here in America by Americans with American stuff, all bought and sold here with our plethora of domestic resources.
If my Samsung was built in North Korea or South Korea, not North Korea, South Korea.
Yeah, if your Samsung was built in North Korea, it'd be a brick.
And I paid $600 retail.
The great leader says it gets great reception, though, so
Or
it does.
Or you'll hit you with it. How much would it cost, if that's what it costs, how much would it cost to build, develop, and sell a completely American-made iPhone?
Well, here's
or
what you do.
Samsung or whatever.
Let's take the Toyota example.
All right.
See, when Toyota first got started in Japan, they didn't make cars. They made linen. They made textiles. They made fabrics. But after the war was over, they had been converted over to making machinery. So when the war was done, they started making cars.
Mazda had a very similar story.
Now, what do you think those cars cost to make versus importing them from Europe and America? They were crazy expensive. So what did the Japanese government do? They imposed tariffs. Tariffs are a great thing. But thanks to free trade agreements, as air quotes, free trade agreements, we don't get to put tariffs on foreign-bought shit anymore because that just hurts companies like Google, who are quote-unquote domestic companies who ship all their shit out to be made and then ship it back in tariff-free because it's domestic. You see?
Oh, yeah.
That's horse shit. What you do instead is you say, if you want to do business in America, you do business in America. And if you want to do business outside of America, that's fine too. But you're not going to save any fucking money employing slaves for dimes a day because when they come here, when your product comes back here, we're going to charge you the difference.
We need a piece.
We're going to charge you the difference. You're going to have to compete with American bought and made goods. That is something that's been missing from this country for 25 years. 30 years. Since Reagan.
At least.
And then Clinton had a big hand in that, too. I'm sorry. I had somebody tell me today that Reagan was, like, the best president ever. And I was like...
don't you love those? The Reaganomics? The
I was just like,
Reaganiacs?
listen, dude. I understand that you felt like Ronald Reagan was the best president ever. Do you know why you felt that way? What was he before he was the president?
An actor.
An actor.
Beloved Hollywood actor.
An actor. Optimus Prime was the best goddamn Autobot ever. You know what he was? Fictional. Just like Ronald Reagan. Then the guy goes on to say, Ronald Reagan's opinions. So it was like we're handed to him by somebody else. You're going to read this is what you're going to read.
By a crack staff.
You seen the Kennedy video? You're going to read this.
Yeah, that's
I
how it
sure
works.
am going to read that.
That's
Gipper
how that
knows
works.
how to read.
Yeah.
So if you want to do business in America,
I'm glad that you call them the Gipper.
if you
I
want to
really
do
am.
business in America, I think
Oh,
you should
God,
pay
if I
the
have you
price
call them
of
the
doing
Gipper.
business in America. And I want that price to be a good thing.
You're the
for
blood
American...
of your firstborn baby.
No, yes. Yeah. You know why? Because the blood of
quickly.
No, because it's a good. The blood of your firstborn baby is dependent on that job. Now, people in Korea need jobs too. I get that, but they can have their jobs and their employees can fight for their wages. But here in America, we have so many unemployed people, we've lost count. We don't even count them after a year and a half. 18 months, boom, you're no longer unemployed. Guess what?
And the unemployment rate is still 10%.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Because you don't count. After a year and a half of unemployment, you don't get benefits anymore, and you don't count as unemployed. You're just gone. From the employment statistics, you're just gone.
Gone.
That's not okay. That's not how it should work. And with all these people just gone, why don't we make it easier for them to compete in the market and get them to be able to... People should be able to, like... I'm not unemployed, but I should be able to, in my position, become entrepreneurial. But I can't because I can't afford to lose my job. Because if it fucks up on me, this entrepreneurial shit, because the odds are so stacked against you when you start out a business, I can't move and make room for somebody else to take my job while I go and make a name for myself. This is a big problem in America. This is a big damn problem, and it's something that we can fix if we just would open our eyes and pay attention. Moving on.
I didn't want to interrupt you. You were.
I appreciate that.
You were on a roll.
I was. I'm sorry.
You were rocking, and you were both rocking and rolling, which is something I try to avoid doing at all times.
I appreciate you allowing me the time to make this speech.
You are welcome, sir. San Francisco Associated Press. New iPhone. Mac features unveiled.
Wow.
Nobody here gives a shit.
I know. Moving on.
All right.
Oh, guess what? This one's the same size and it has a slightly bigger screen and it wraps around the side or some bullshit. But you know what it doesn't do? Allow you access to a free and open app market. Not to even mention job markets again. But even Apple's app market isn't open.
Yeah, no, it's all pre-censored. It's all wrought through. Then they add their own coding to it so they have a backdoor to your app.
Apple is the enemy of democracy. I'm just saying.
Pirate Bay
That's a little
founder.
strong. I'm sorry. I don't want to leave that on the floor. Apple might not be the enemy of democracy.
Okay, so Apple's sending drones again. First it was
exactly.
Apple, then it was Google, now it's Apple again. Pirate Bay founder arrested after 2 years on the lam.
Damn it.
One of the founders of the file-sharing website Pirate Bay has been arrested in southern Sweden to serve an outstanding sentence for copyright violations after being on the run for nearly 2 years. Peter Sunday, whatever, had been wanted by Interpol since 2012 after being sentenced in Sweden to prison and fined for breaching copyright law. We have been looking for him since 2012, said spokeswoman at the Swedish National Police Board.
A quick pause.
Sure.
Copyright law.
Did I say it wrong?
No. Copyright law is another one of those laws that keeps the young entrepreneur out. See, because once you've made a movie, it's made. It doesn't cost you anything. And then you sell that movie to 7 billion human beings for $11 to $20, depending on where you're selling it. And the copy costs you cents, pennies, probably fractions of pennies to make this copy and box it.
Okay, but it cost you an awful lot to make the movie.
It did cost you an awful lot.
To make the movie.
Hey, man, it's kind of like pharmaceuticals. How about when a movie gets to be a certain age, you can copy it all you want?
Well, copyright law was supposed to have just like technology patents.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have an expiration date.
It should. There should be nothing wrong. Like if I wanted to, I'm so bad at movies. This is the best example I can come up with, folks.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Please forgive me.
Oh my God, this is going to be fun.
If I wanted to rip a copy of When Harry Met Sally,
I'm done.
I know it's just what came to mind, and I wanted to sell that.
Harry Met Sally,
whatever, and RoboCop.
It was even worse.
No, it's not.
It was for a selection for this point.
Well, then you make a suggestion. Titanic. How's Titanic? That's a good one.
It's
People will
fine. That's a
people
great
still
pick.
buy it.
If you have a vagina and you're 40 years old, that's a perfect one to watch every night at home when you're home alone, smoking your cigarettes.
Paint me like one of your French girls.
Come on, Grandma. get to your point.
Let's get French, Grammy. So,
Get to your copyright point.
Titanic was released in what, 98?
Sure.
98 or 90. I was in high school when I saw it. So
I'm not arguing. Whatever.
James Cameron has made his money on that movie. So has Miramax or whatever the studio was that produced it. Whoever had their hands in that movie, they made their fucking money. They don't need to keep getting royal. I mean, there should be an abattoir where you can go and purchase their movie for the purpose of burning, as a city restaurant who sells bootlegs on the street corner and makes $50 a day doing that. The fuck's wrong with that? Nobody's getting hurt. Nobody's getting hurt.
But
Nobody's
Stacey,
losing anything. Listen, the people in the city that buy the bootlegs, they're not going to go and spend $25 on fucking Titanic's anniversary edition.
But
I'm not. And I enjoyed that movie a little bit.
But Stacey, first of all, the commercial in the beginning of the movies when I go to the movie theaters says that pirating is a crime. It says it's just like stealing a car.
Pirating is a crime. Pirating is done on a boat.
And if we let people sell bootleg movies, that's just encouraging poor black people who don't have any work to find work, and we can't have that.
I know. They need to be selling drugs, right? Not movies.
We can't have that.
It's
We
absurd.
can't have them making any kind of income. They must be dependent on our welfare. It's silly, Stace.
It's absurd to me. And that's absurd, too. They're less dependent on our welfare than our corporations are. But I don't have enough numbers and facts to rant off about that one. Folks, someday soon, you're going to hear me talk about corporate welfare. I promise.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the Pirate Bay land...
You're on a roll tonight. I'm just letting you fly. I don't want to interrupt you. You're just kind of on fire.
I have a lot
Joni's
to say
on
these
fire.
days, Corey. I have a lot to say these days, and I'm really...
Okay.
I'm seriously considering that someday I may run for a public office, and this is an opportunity for me to try to organize my thoughts.
Make sure you burn these before you try.
I will not. The people will elect me for who I am.
A lot of swearing and inappropriate language.
There's no such thing as inappropriate language. Unless you're at church and you yell out, "Fuck Jesus," that's inappropriate.
Probably inappropriate.
But not because the word fuck or the word Jesus, just because you're in church. It's not how you talk at church.
Because you're kind of a rude asshole.
Yeah, it's uncouth. Have some couth, people. Then our kids would stop getting shot. We wouldn't need cops in our
and
schools.
if they started belting you with Bibles till you ran out of the door, then justice would be served, I would think.
I agree. That's another thing. Let's talk about assault in a legal context.
Put it on the docket. This is where we're going to next. Going on the dockets.
No, I got nothing for legal assault.
Nothing. So, well, in September 2012...
Holy hard edit, Batman. Continue. Now they'll know. It's okay. It's good. 4 men linked to Pirate Bay were originally sentenced to 1 year in prison and a fine of... What the fuck is that thing?
Pounds.
That's not a P.
That's pounds.
Horse shit, I say. 2.8 million
Pounds.
The appeals court later reduced the prison
Which is
sentence.
like $16 million.
Oh, did you? Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Whatever.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. My mistake. 2 is, that would be $5 million.
Isn't England on the euro?
Pound. Yeah, but this is Sweden.
What the fuck? This story must be out of England. Anyway, a big-ass fine got leveled against 4 guys that were originally sentenced a year ago that were linked to the Pirate Bay. An appeals court later reduced the prison sentences by varying amounts, but raised the fine to 4.1 million monies.
Monies. In September 2012, Cambodia arrested and deported another Pirate Bay co-founder at Sweden's request.
Why at Sweden's request? Do they have like strong anti?
I think they have strong anti-criminal things because people run there because of their neutrality and laws and all that.
Oh, so they're like, okay.
So I think they're big on anti-criminal showing up to do operations there.
I think
that's why Pirate Bay operates out of Sweden.
I don't feel like I think that it's okay to call the guys that run the Pirate Bay criminals.
I don't. Okay, but I'm not saying that I'm calling them criminals.
I know, but I just think
I'm saying that the Swedish media is totally painting them to be criminals. I'm just saying.
Like, I understand if you just made a brand new software today and Pirate Bay fucking stole it, you have a valid point. However, the system suffers by the fact that there's not a release valve. You just always get to own it. Even pharmaceuticals, one of the crookedest industries of all the industries, has limits on how long you can own that shit, and then somebody else can own it. Continue with your story.
Pirate Bay launched in 2003 to provide links to music and movie files that were stored on other users' computers. And I'll be happy to tell you right now, if you type that into your Pirates Bay anything.org.com, whatever, into
I ain't typing that shit in. Are you kidding me?
URL, you'll be happy to know that the Pirates Bay is still up and running.
I would never go there. They're thieves. They steal things from people. Hardworking people.
Except for all the bands and stuff that put their music on Pirates Bay for free, like willingly.
Those
as
people
a protest.
Those people are encouraging thiefdom.
Thiefdom?
Thiefdom.
Wouldn't it be thievery?
They think they're all Robin Hood, but they're just promoting thievery.
I'm enjoying your extreme emphasis on the great syllables.
You like that? I was doing it for you.
So, Pirate Bay
What?
founder... Pirate Bay founder busted. I don't know what this will mean for the organization, but I just thought it was pertinent information to share.
They'll probably just be fine.
Especially since we're talking about all this policing.
Here's the thing about computer-savvy people. There's a fucking lot of them.
They're savvy with computers.
And they just keep
Thank you for educating us, Dr. Stacey.
making more of themselves. And
yeah, that happens with most humans.
So it doesn't really matter if you get the guy off the top. The organization is going to continue to work, and I think the organization should be able to continue to work until it's allowed an opportunity to work in a legal fashion.
All right. I kind of got lost at the end there. What now?
There should be, I said it 3 times in this story, there should be a legal way for you to pirate
okay, I got you.
digital content.
I lost your verbiage for a minute.
Like when I buy an audiobook, I pay fucking... Some of these books are like... Most of them are between $11 and $20, but some of them are like $25, $35 for an audiobook. Now, it's 25 hours worth of entertainment, some of these, or information or whatever. And some of these books, the paperbacks, would cost $50 or more. But you only had to record it once. Why am I paying a premium like this?
Yeah, over and over and over and over.
That's
and over
ridiculous.
And over and over and over again.
That's ridiculous. There should be... At some point, after you've created a thing, it should be free. And if you want to keep making that dollar, like nobody should be able to change it, but it should just be out there. Or even, you know what, people can change it. If you want to keep making money off of the things you did, do more things.
I bet that when they're working the price, when they're marking the price up, when they're figuring out what the price for a CD is or an MP3 or whatever, I'll guarantee you that they put into that price what they project as the cost of lost business due to, like with CDs and records, it was sharing with your friends.
Yeah,
I bet you now when you're paying for the 99-cent MP3s or the $1.99 MP3s, they've got a fraction of cost in there where they're thinking that when they develop the music and sell it, that there's some pirating that they're going to be losing it to, instead of you sharing with your friends by sitting in a room together listening to the same album.
Yeah.
Or sharing it back and forth.
Right.
You're just literally sharing it, the digital file. I bet you they factor a little bit of that cost into the price of things.
I bet they do.
That's how the cars work.
And that's okay.
If the dealership you buy your car from has oil changes for life program on your car, you can bet your happy ass you paid for that when you bought your car.
Oh, yeah, nothing's for nothing.
They factor that into the price when they charge you for your car.
The Genesee Valley guy says that all the time.
Nothing's for nothing.
Well, no, he says we're no nonsense or some shit like that. But his point is...
Is he running a car dealership?
When they
all
tell...
nonsense.
I know. his point is when they tell you the price, it's the price without any of this bullshit because they don't have that bullshit.
Yeah.
Or if they do, you
Exactly.
pay for it. Anyway, the Pirate Bay.
The Pirate Bay. When I was done with that, I said it was up and running. Actually, I was trying really hard to figure out how I could turn the conversation to surveillance.
Okay, it's like this. When I wash a car, I don't therefore own all the future washes of that car. The only way I could enforce that would be if I had some kind of massive surveillance network to work with. How's that? Is that a good segue? Like that one?
That was as good as a hammer. Reddit, IMGUR,
Imgur,
and Boing Boing launch anti-NSA surveillance campaign.
Oh my, I like this one already.
Some of the world's largest websites are planning a coordinated day of action on Thursday to oppose mass surveillance online.
What were they going to do in this coordinated day of action?
Let's read and find out. The sites, which include Reddit, Imgur, and Boing Boing, will be taking part in a campaign called Reset the Net in a number of ways. See, you ask the question, you'll get the answer. Some will show a splash screen to all users, reminiscent of the one used in the successful protest against SOPA, which was the U.S. copyright bill, which many feared would damage the backbone of the Internet, which we discussed on the show.
Yes, we definitely did.
But rather than telling users to write their electoral representatives, this protest will push more direct action, encouraging visitors to install privacy and encryption tools.
I like it. However,
All right.
the NSA is owned by the people, in theory.
In very,
I know.
very textbook theory.
Like, by definition, should be
You're still drowning, dude.
a publicly owned, it's the people's government. Like, remember, of the people, by the people, for the people.
What now?
Do we really want our corporate overlords to feel like they need to go to war against our elected overlords? Who do you think is going to get ground up in that war machine? On the other hand, did you hear what I don't know who it was, some internet service provider raised skyrocketed the NSA's internet stream, like their access. They raised the price significantly when SOPA went through.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you can do that. And so the man calls up the internet guy, the cable guy, and he says,
Do you know that I'm the man?
do you know that I'm the man? And they were like, yeah, but you said that we could charge whatever we want now, so that's what we're doing. And the man was like, I don't think we thought this through. And the guy was like, yeah, no, you didn't.
Enjoy your bill, sir.
And then the man was like, all right, we're going to do something about this. And the cable guy was like, you better.
Or we're just going to keep charging you.
And they hung up the phone. And the man is currently working on a way to exempt the man from their own law, I'm sure. Even though that clearly violates the part of the Constitution that starts with Congress shall make no law and ends with a bunch of shit about that proves Congress from itself.
I'm glad you did the research.
Kind of like,
Just remember, Obamacare. Everybody has to sign up, or it's a $200 fine the first year.
unless you're
Unless you're an elected.
a congressman or a senator. Like
Government.
Senator Gallivan.
Oh, our local cop-loving senator. Yay for him.
Well, former cop. He should love cops. I mean, honestly, we all should be able to love cops. We should all be able to love cops.
we should.
We should.
The
However,
point of the police is to protect the innocent. It's to protect the people. To protect and serve, I believe, is the mantra. And in our country, we decide that we're going to paint the cars black
yes,
and make the lights smaller.
yes.
We're gonna make the uniforms black and
Yeah.
dark blue,
So that it's less
More
about
conspicuous.
protecting you
and more
than
about
about catching you.
catching you in the act
Gotcha.
of a crime. We're spending money preemptively to find criminals, to make criminals,
To make criminals, to construct criminals.
instead of a public service to help the innocent. Now, I believe in European countries, the cars are brightly colored and filled with reflectors,
They used to be here too.
and the uniforms
Yeah. are dorky as shit.
But they're covered in reflective
Yeah.
tapes and things that you can see these peace officers.
Also, when somebody is reflective,
And when did they stop being peace officers? When did they start being law enforcement officials and stop being peace officers? When did that happen?
I don't know. That's a very good question, but I bet that it was that's just a social difference between it's because of.
I'm going to be willing to bet
we have
that
a different
they enforced
upbringing.
That. I think that I'm willing to be.
You think
bet
the
that
Europeans actively were like, no, we're going to be peacekeeping officials.
And I think we went from being peacekeeping officials because that used to be the slang here. I mean, that's slang. That's what you would call police officers. They were, officers of the law.
Yeah.
Were peace officers.
Like Judge Dredd. I am
like
the
if
law.
you read a newspaper from 1901, it'd be peace officers responded.
In America, you think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I believe it wholly. And then we faded away from that. And I think we did intentionally. The man in the black helicopters. The man in the black
Oh,
helicopters.
Jesus Christ. The black helicopters. I don't know about those black helicopters. I mean, I see a lot of them, though.
So
really, seeing should be
every
believing,
time I
right?
do it, I go, it's the black helicopters.
And then you look up and you're like, holy shit.
It is the black
That helicopter's
helicopters.
black. What the fuck?
That's not a newscopter, pal.
Have you seen a bunch of helicopters?
Crazy
They're
amount.
all over the
Crazy
place.
amounts lately. There's been a lot of trains carrying military equipment in the area, too.
Yeah.
Just so you notice.
Yeah, I know. Well, they got to fight Google and Reddit and Imgur and Boing Boing.
Other sites have committed to improving their own privacy as part of the campaign by enabling standards such as the HTTPS, which prevents attackers from eavesdropping on visitors.
That's the hot titties touching piss and shit.
Excuse me, I'm sipping my bourbon.
HTTPS.
Piss and shit. Such security standards are common in the world of e-commerce, but rarer for sites who don't think of themselves as holding sensitive information.
What kind of information?
Sensitive information.
So sensitive.
We can take back control of our personal and private data on website, one device, one internet user at a time, said Reddit's general manager, Eric Martin. We're proud to stand up for our users' rights and help reset the net.
Now, I do believe that what these people are pushing for is the right thing to be pushing for. And I'm afraid that this is the kind of steps they have to take. Because you can't have letter writing campaigns. It's just not
It doesn't work.
functional.
Because it gets thrown away. It just,
What the fuck can I buy with a letter?
bitch.
I can't buy a fucking... What am I going to go? I'm going to walk into McDonald's? I'm Senator fucking Gallivan. I'm going to walk into McDonald's with a fucking letter, and I'm going to say, hey, I want a McCheeseburger, and I got a letter to pay for it, and you're going to give me a McCheeseburger.
I'm hungry now.
Whatever. That's fine. You should have some homemade bread.
Oh, well, you should have offered it to me during the break like you said you were.
You want some sassafras tea? I'm just kidding, folks.
No, you fucker. You got a whole story you got to read.
I know.
We're in
I
the
was
middle of
kidding.
this
I was
still.
absolutely fucking with you, Cory.
You grounded me. The campaign is being coordinated.
Thank you for clearing that up. The campaign is being coordinated.
Coordinated.
Okay, fine.
By Fight for the Future, whose co-founder, Tiffany Chang, said...
What?
Tiffany
Chang.
That's what it reads. There's a lot of I's in it, but that's what it reads to me.
This is Asian correspondent and natural blonde Tiffany Chang.
With too many I's in it, like she's from Malibu,
Yeah, I spelled
and
that
had to
shit
make
wrong.
it different.
Hey, Miss Chang, your name is spelled wrong.
Now that we know how mass surveillance works, we know how to stop it. That's why people all over the world are going to work together to use encryption everywhere and make it hard for any government to conduct mass surveillance.
I like it.
There are moments in history where people and organizations must choose whether to stand on the side of freedom or tyranny. On June 5th, the internet will show which side it's on. I think that was still
Who
Tiffany
said
Chang.
that?
I think it was still Tiffany Chang.
Tiffany Chang. Good. Tiffany Chang. Good for you. Come on. You
All
really
right,
mean
all right.
clap alone for Tiffany Chang?
forgot
I
what
didn't
was
think you
happening.
would. That's very good for Tiffany Chang.
It's very.
I gotta notice that she didn't really say which side the internet is on. Just, just that they're going to show which side they're on. And right now they have the power to show either of those two things. And I'm reminded of when Barack Obama said transparency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to read this again. There are moments in history where people and organizations must choose whether to stand on the side of freedom of tyranny. On freedom of tyranny.
Would you like to try again?
Freedom or tyranny. On June 5th, the internet will show which side it's on. Very strong words. I want to know who wrote this speech for her.
She might have wrote it herself. Good for her. This isn't a hard speech. Anybody can say these words. And it's good that people can say these words. And there are countries in the world where you can't say these words or they will fucking kill you.
And that is for damn sure. So you know what, folks? Spread the word. A hashtag reset the net. www.resetthenet.org. The problem, it says right on their website. Problem, NSA is exploiting weak links in internet security to spy on the entire world, twisting the internet we love into something that's never been meant to be.
Yeah, I want to get my porn and not have the NSA use it against me in a coming political battle.
We can't stop targeted attacks.
I said
but
coming.
We can stop massive surveillance by building proven security into everyday internet.
Wait, hold on. I'd like to read that. We can't stop targeted attacks, but we quote-unquote can stop mass attack or mass surveillance. What's with the quotes? But we, quote, can stop mass surveillance.
They're asterisks, so they don't count as quotes.
Oh, are they asterisks?
They are asterisks.
I'm sorry, the
I think
screen's
that was-
far away from me.
I think that was for accent. But we can.
They should have done what Senator Gallivan does and use bold,
a lot of bold
lettering.
douchey letters. First, get hundreds of sites and apps to add proven security like SSL. Then on June 5th, we'll run a splash screen everywhere to spread NSA-resistant privacy tools.
I love it, but I'm a little concerned about the amount of trust I'm willing to put into the internet corporations.
You know what? Either way, set out to your Twitters, to your Instagrams, to your Reddits, to all your favorite, to the Boing Boing. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
I know what Reddit is. At the Imgur, I don't know what that is.
Imgur.
Go to the social media and websites that you use and spread the word. Reset the net. Hashtag reset the net. Resetthenet.org.
Before you do that, I'd like to suggest that you go to resetthenet.org yourself and see what you can learn from there. And I don't mean just go to that one website. I mean go to that website and then think of some questions and then learn the answers to those questions. Because this is an opportunity to place a lot of trust in our corporate bosses. And I am all about internet freedom. I am so super about it. But let's keep some perspective here. You know, these people, we just 2 weeks ago talked about how Steve Jobs and the Google people were like...
Steve Jobs and the Google people?
Yeah. We're like, we can save money if we just pay our engineers only this much, and no matter where they go,
the engineer
remember the
hiring
wage.
freeze, yeah.
So remember, those people. These are the people that did that stuff too. But I like the ideas that they have for their products, so I'm inclined to go ahead and say, do go to resetthenet.org
and check it out
and spread the word.
We use the internet to be ourselves, but governments are building a prison around it. We have to stop them, but how? They seem so vast and powerful. But government spies have a weakness. They can hack anybody, but they can't hack everybody. Folks like the NSA depend on collecting insecure data from tapped fiber. They depend on our mistakes. Mistakes we can fix. The plan? Reset the net. Together.
On June 5th, 1 year after Snowden's first NSA story, we all take one powerful step to turn off government spying and turn on freedom.
The call is simple. Find some territory of the internet that you can protect from prying eyes. Seize it and hold it. Are you a developer? Promise to add one NSA-resistant feature to your app. Are you an internet user? Promise to try one NSA-resistant privacy tool.
Got a website or Tumblr? Run our splash screen on June 5th to show the world we're resetting the net.
This is our moment to rally and realize our power. Without needing anyone's permission, we can decide our future, one that's safe, open, and free. It won't be easy, but if we work hard now, the internet will never be a prison. Reset the net. Are you in? Sign up.
ResetTheNet.org. Go there, learn more.
Take back your internet.
Hey, folks. Corey's bringing it back, so,
Hey, folks.
Hey, folks. How y'all doing out there on the internet? We're AirWreckRadio, and we just don't give a fuck tonight.
Keep drinking whiskey, Stace.
I probably will. I have to. I have gout.
Oh, the doctor's orders.
Cure for gout. I quit my my gout medicine. I quit taking it.
Because it interfered with your alcoholism?
No. I hate pills on a regular basis, so I quit.
Fair enough.
And my toe feels better. Like, all better.
But that's
like,
probably good.
It feels good. It feels all, when I say all better, like...
Let's smash it with a hammer and see how it reacts.
Well, and then pain would be a normal reaction. Now, I'm not saying the medicine gave me gout, because obviously they gave me the medicine for the gout.
But you still changed your diet.
I did. I also did that. I definitely sure did that, too.
Yeah, okay.
Did you want to bring us back?
No, I think we already were brought back.
Oh.
Carry on, sir.
Carry on, my wayward sir. There's a new story coming up. That's right, folks. Don't you cry no more. I have a news story put away tonight.
A Sans headline news story.
Yes. Like Comic Sans. Only outside of Rochester, where we call it Sans.
Good point.
This is
well pointed, sir.
This
is
a story that I found courtesy of the Associated Press, and I didn't make it very far in this story before I got pissed off and needed to start writing. So I'm going to start with the story, and we'll see how far we get before I feel like derailing. Jackson, Mississippi. From Texas to Alabama, laws are being enacted that would greatly restrict access to abortion, forcing many women to travel hundreds of miles to find a clinic. The laws requiring abortion doctors to have privileges to admit patients to local hospitals could have a profound impact on women in poor and rural sections of the Bible Belt.
I'm happy with all the abortion talk we've had this episode. This is great.
This is as far as I got into this story before I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. So I'm going to break down this opening paragraph.
This is goddamn redunculous.
Here's my problem. From Texas to Alabama, laws are being enacted that would greatly restrict access to abortion. In 1978, one thing went right. Roe versus Wade gave women the right to control that part of their body. It's not okay for states to make obstructionist laws based on moralities to inhibit women from being able to express their rights over their bodies. That's bullshit.
Excuse me, miss. Is that your vagina?
No, it's the states.
Let me tell you what you should do with that your vagina.
The laws requiring abortion doctors to have privileges to admit patients to local hospitals. That's a weirdly... The laws, requiring abortion... Oh, I see. They have new laws that require abortion doctors to admit patients to local hospitals.
Post,
for what?
Pre-post.
Who cares?
Pre-post.
Who cares? You don't need to... Everybody who gets an abortion doesn't need a hospital stay. It's not necessary. You know who's pushing these kind of laws? The insurance companies, dummies. When you think Jesus is compelling you to do this, to get in the... to obstruct a woman's right, it's not. It's the insurance companies being like, hey, wait. If these people went to see real doctors, they'd have to pay, like, and when I say real doctors, understand that I mean like hospital fees and shit like that. I mean like a plethora of administrators. You don't have to do that right now when you go to get an abortion. It's in New York, for example, it's fairly affordable to get an abortion.
I don't know, $200, something like that.
It depends on. I think it depends on your.
Affordable.
income level. Folks, Tammy is joining us for this portion of the show.
It's Tammy. I'm joining you.
Way to chime in on the price of abortions. Good job.
No, I commented. You said that it was $200. You said that sounds affordable. That sounds like an affordable thing.
That's what I said. Just welcome to the conversation on the comment about abortion.
When compared to the cost of having a child you didn't want, $200 is a paltry fee.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to a child cost.
I'm just saying. So I didn't get
a
much
poultry fee.
Poultry?
A fee for chicken?
No, like a tiny fee, like poultry. Isn't that poultry?
What? I thought poultry was chicken.
It is. That's poultry.
Birds.
Poultry.
I don't know what poultry means.
I don't know. I'm lost. Moving on.
Anyway, I didn't get any further than that story before I wrote my own story about what's wrong with this story. So let's have a little choose your own adventure. People in the room?
Yeah.
Shall we continue on the Associated Press story?
Please, let's not.
Or shall we move on to the story that I wrote?
Yours is probably better. Let's go.
I'll guarantee you it reads more fluently.
Only because I wrote it and am reading it. So in Sudan, that's a country far away. It's south of Egypt, and it's a country torn in half. And the north has been overrun by Arabic Muslims who for centuries have been displacing the native Africans. In their religious zeal, the Arabic Muslims.
That's my favorite kind of Muslim.
The Ziliat?
The Arabic Muslim.
Oh, the Arabic one. Okay.
Again, your emphasis hangs me
What's
up.
wrong with Arabic?
No, it's just the way you kept
Arabic?
saying. It's just the I guess the cadence in which you were saying Arabic Muslims.
As
Those
opposed
are
to
my
like
favorite
white
kind.
Muslims or black Muslims.
I get what your point was.
They're ethnically Arabic.
Oh my God, it was just the cadence I was picking on. Move on.
In their religious zeal to spread Islam and racial purity, these Muslims have been engaging in terrible raids against the native and southern Sudanese, the black African Sudanese.
God bless you.
Thank you. Sudanese. Making a very specific point of gang raping any woman they find who is of breeding age.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Their plan is to achieve ethnic purity. In the words of King Edward the Longshanks in the movie Braveheart, if we can't get them out, we'll breed them out.
Yeah, they do that.
So here's a place where religious zealotry runs strong, just like the American Bible Belt. And these Muslims gang rape the native Africans to make them have children. You see?
The
achieve,
Muslim children.
To achieve ethnic and religious superiority. Now think of how the American religious zealots feel about birth control and abortion.
We get no shit. Yeah.
To these zealots, it doesn't matter that in the 20 years following Roe versus Wade, crime dropped so significantly that police departments and legislatures needed to come up with new and insidious ways to justify the need for inflated police budgets and private prisons. Violent crime fell so much through the 90s that America needed 9/11 in order to get us scared enough to need better ways we need to round up all the people who might be bad. We need to process them and hope that we can mass convict as many people as we can.
And that's the end of our show. Have a good night.
And and that's
Why did crime drop so significantly? Because abortion was legal?
Well, not necessarily only because,
But it was
but
the same time
it is.
frame.
There's a causality link here, or
Correlation.
thank you.
Yeah.
There's a correlating fact here.
Yes.
20 years before crime started falling, abortion was made legal. Suddenly, there were less unwanted babies.
Right.
Now, let's do some simple common sense math. Unwanted babies
Criminals.
are more likely to be criminals.
You would imagine.
I would say
I don't know that fact is true, but I would imagine.
Nah.
I
Not
honestly
everyone.
don't have any facts to back that claim up.
Liar!
But I think that I could be claimed as less than a liar for saying it as if it is a fact. 20 years after the poor were made capable of having abortions, crime fell. because there were less unwanted babies.
Woohoo! Next step, sterilization. Let's go. What? No. Oh, different train.
Speaking of
Did
sterilization.
we get on a different train?
Yes, a little bit. Both abortion and birth control are population regulation tools that all nations need their people to have an education about. I'm not saying you need to enforce abortion. I'm not saying you need to enforce birth control. But you need to educate your people about the values of both. The poor and lower middle
Both
classes.
pros and cons.
Yes, absolutely. That's what education means. It means not just knowing the propaganda. It means knowing both ends.
Are you from this country? Because I don't think that's what it means.
I am from this country, and I'm going to take it back. And I'm going to do it by telling people to learn both sides of the story. The poor and lower middle class make up a commanding majority of Americans' unwanted pregnancies. Between 1994 and 19...
Letters, numbers, and things.
Between 1994 and 2006, the number of unwanted pregnancies of these women, the poor and middle class, rose by 50%. The simple fact that's about when the Bible Belt went super like obstructionist anti.
Yeah, okay.
The
Obstructionist cunts. Okay.
Yes, you said it.
Okay.
Like bombing places and things like that.
Yes, those pieces of shit. Okay.
The simple fact of the matter is that regardless of how you feel about the sacredness of human life, if we do not curb our appetite to force breed, we will lose our ability to sustain that sacred life. I want to talk about population now. I'm going to switch gears.
Oh, are we going to the sterilization now? Is that what's
No,
going on?
I want to talk about the human population and how it's grown.
Oh, all right.
Consider that it took human beings 160,000 years. These are all numbers pulled from books. 160,000 years to achieve a population of 1 billion. That was about 1800, right after the Civil War. We made our second billion people in not 160,000 years.
No.
Nope.
No.
130 years.
Jesus.
1930. 30 years later, in 1960, there were 3 billion human beings. Over the course of the next 30 years, we added 2 more billion, 5 billion by 1987.
Well, yeah, things grow. Successful species grow exponentially.
Until they become unsuccessful.
Well, yeah, until they tip the scale.
Today, only 27 years later, the world's population is 7.25 billion.
Billion.
Bazillion. 7.25. You can have whatever philosophy you'd like about the sacredness of human life. You feel free. I encourage you to feel free to believe how you want to feel. But here in reality, forcing women to have children they do not want is rape. If it's not rape in the most common sense, it is most certainly the rape of the futures which could have belonged to the wanted children.
How about the freedom to do with my body and my spirituality as I decide?
Human beings should be the stewards of their own bodies. That is absolutely true.
And I will suffer the consequences as they come
Yeah.
to me.
Right.
Who pays for the care of orphaned children? The states.
Taxpayers.
Who pays to jail the criminal class? Overwhelmingly children of single mothers.
Taxpayers.
The taxpayer. The state. Who pays for the lifetime of assistance offered and available to these most destitute of the human population? The state. Who pays the state?
We said it several times, taxpayers.
I do, you do, we all do.
Yeah.
Everybody who makes money in this country and gets a paycheck from Paychecks, who gets a legitimate paycheck, they pay for the care of these people. All because some people want to bash our heads in with their moral belligerence about the sacred value of human life, which, honestly, I believe in the sacred value of human life. It takes a little of experience to be a human. It just takes a little experience.
To have value as a human life.
It's just...
Well, I guess an argument could be made, and I'm not necessarily making the argument, but the argument can be made to potential.
Now,
there
that's
is a
good
level
point.
of potential in this argument.
I'm glad you made that point. I would like to see somebody please show me one iota of empirical evidence
That's why
that shows me the value. But I know, but that's the thing. People get bludgeoned down by the fact that, like, right to lifers say that life starts immediately. Not all of them, but some of them. Let's just talk about those people, and you can extrapolate that from how you like. They say life starts immediately. As soon as the potential for life has occurred, boom, life. Prove it.
So they're anti-birth control as well.
Prove the value of that life over the value of a grain of grass. Prove it.
That's the thing with beliefs.
That is the thing with beliefs.
That's the thing with faith. That's the thing with centralized belief.
And
it's not something that's up for proof or debate.
The difference is you're allowed to believe what you want. You don't have to have an abortion. I'm not talking about enforcing birth control or abortions.
Come here, bitch. I'm going to kick you downstairs.
But that shit should sure as shit be available, and people should be educated to their options. The fact that there are states in this country where you can't get the morning after pill without a subscription, that's insane.
That is insane.
A prescription.
What did I say? An inscription?
Subscription.
Oh, that's stupid.
And that's what you get
Whatever.
a magazine with.
Whatever. The fact that you need to go and see a doctor for the morning after pill.
You shouldn't have to. You should be able to buy it right over the counter.
Eric Radio Rim Shot.
Who do you
buying a
think?
condom.
Who do you think lobbied for that?
Cray craze.
The cray craze and the Christian right,
Cray craze.
and the insurance.
Is that what we're down to? Cray craze? This is what we've whittled ourselves
We did
to?
just now, yeah. And the insurance companies. I don't fucking trust or care about what either of those two parties has to say about anything.
They want their $85 for that visit.
That's my $85.
At least 3 times a year.
Hey, insurance companies, you guys also run the medical field. We already give you plenty of government subsidies. Stop nickel and diming our rights away. Knock it off. It's not okay. Do you know what is okay?
Brought to you by Friends by to elect Stacey Conklin.
Not true. Do you know what is okay?
Does it involve a refreshing beverage?
I'll do
might
it.
just.
What is okay? What's okay?
What's okay?
What's okay?
What's okay?
What is it that's okay?
I don't know what's okay.
Oh.
I told you. That's right. Folks, thanks a bunch for joining us tonight.
You're terrible.
Whatever, I don't care. They've heard the song. They know how it goes. Thanks so much for joining us on AirWreck Radio. Remember, AirWreckRadio.com, the only website that matters.
Sitting down in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. Now wouldn't you know it, there goes the phone again. It's probably just another wrong number, but someone tried to sell me something I can't even see. Well, I got the solution. Just sit down in my easy chair and take a big sip of my sassafras tea.
Hey, you wreckheads. We forgot to do a story tonight, so here's a little tip for you. If you heard this part of the story of the show,
There's a little surprise in your future. There's a little treat ski for you.
You tweet us that you heard this part of the show at C-Pain Run, at AWR Stacey, at AirWreck Radio. Tweet us. You Facebook post it on the AirWreck Radio Facebook. You go to the email and email us that you saw it at AirWreck Radio, or heard it, rather. You didn't see shit.
Since
This
most
is a
of you
podcast.
are our family and friends, and you have our personal cell phone numbers. No,
Call
fuck
us.
you. That
Text
doesn't work.
us.
No,
I'm going with it. Go ahead. Go ahead and text. If you know our phone number, text us that you heard this part of the show, and by hell or high water, I will send you flowers in the mail. Now,
if you call or text me, you get shit. You, as far as I'm concerned, you've got to use the social media.
if you text Cory and ask him please to tell me that it happened,
I'll probably still do
he'll
that.
still tell me.
All right, fine. You've cracked my vicious facade.
So, great
Stop
wreckheads.
watching the after show.
I'm sorry. Great wreckheads. What are you hanging in there for this extra bit for? Well, by George, we forgot to do a story.
It's Nerd Corner here at AirWreckRadio.
Nerdcore could rise up. It
Hot
could get elevated.
Hot from the wire. Mad scientist at MIT. They put mad in parentheses. See how they did that? That's cute.
Yeah.
Scientists at MIT have
That's
come
because, wait, hold on. That's because this story's from Madrid. I made that up just to throw you off. It definitely says parentheses mad, and then the story proper starts.
Scientists at MIT have come up with a robot that can assemble itself from 3D printed components when exposed to heat. The MIT team will demonstrate the skills of their impressive new robot at the International Conference of Robotics and Automation in Hong Kong next week.
It's getting hot in here, so turn into a robot.
The robot is made of polyvinyl chloride, PVC. The researchers printed, quote, two-dimensional sheets of material and placed them between two rigid polyester films full of different sized slits. Slits.
Yes.
End quote.
Slits malt liquor, right?
That's Schlitz, but you're close. Then the sheets get put in the oven. As they start to heat up, the material contracts and the slits close. Tee-hee-hee. That pushes the polyester film edges together. Quote, the edge patterns ultimately direct the movement of the PVC and help to form the final 3D shape of the product. If the slits and the edges move as intended, which is actually quite a complex process, the final result is a robot. Daniela Russ, an engineering and computer science professor at MIT, explained the complexity. Quote, you're doing this really complicated global control that moves every edge in the system at the same time.
Hold on. That's not what Daniela Ross said. She was just like,
Russ.
You're doing this like really complicated global control? That's what she said.
Wow, and I'm the chauvinist.
Nobody ever said that. Well,
Plenty of
they
people
probably
have said
thought
that.
it, but I didn't say it.
You want to design those edges in such a way that the result of composing all these motions, which actually interfere with each other, leads to the correct geometric structure.
So, hold on. You're telling me that scientists have found a way to make PVC, the thing that makes my drains,
Yes.
into...
And latex cat suits with GIMP masks, in case you're into that kind of thing.
I only have 4 of those.
Okay.
So I don't really know what you're talking
if
about.
that counts as into it or not. I got
So they take PVC and make it into this thing that turns into a robot?
Yes, it's sheets that lay on top of each other that are interconnected in certain specific ways. And as it shrinks and grows and expands from the heat...
It's like a shrinky dink.
Sort
like one of those little pills that you put in water, right? Only this one you give it heat. And it turns into the lamest transformer ever. But also the first transformer ever.
Bingo.
So you can expect some lameness.
Exactly. The end goal of the project is to create a system in which the printed robots can be programmed to do specific tasks. We have this big dream of the hardware compiler where you can specify, quote, I want a robot that will play with my cat. Or, I want a robot...
Is that a euphemism?
That
the housewife's dreams. A robot that'll play with your pussy.
Double-click
The
on the
future.
mouse. Want a robot that will clean the floor. This is the housewife's dream.
Yeah.
All right. What's a housewife?
That's something we can't have anymore because we outsourced all of our good jobs.
And from the high level of specification, actually generate a working device. So one day, you'll be able to print a robot in the comfort of your own home that can judge the races your other robots are competing in.
That's a funny little tagger they got on the internet
That's
story.
a cute little idea.
I was a little terrified by this because I was like, well, so someday a corporation is going to buy one of these robots to make more robots.
Yes.
And then it's going to graduate exponentially. And soon one of those robots will start making weapons that just all it takes is a warm day and we have robot anarchy.
No, the thought is okay, I need a robot. I need a temporary robot to mix these eggs for me while I'm making Thanksgiving dinner.
I'm making Thanksgiving dinner, and I need eggs. This looks like a job for a robot.
You use your 3D printer.
Where's my 3D printer?
To print
out it's out of 3D ink. Fuck! I need a new 3D printer.
I don't think 3D printers are going to be quite so throwaway for a while.
I hope. Well, certainly not now. But I mean, they said the same thing about Xerox. And have you seen that company lately?
You print that off. You get it online. You print it off. You throw it in the oven. An hour later, you have a robot. You plug that back into the computer. You download the egg bidder software.
You could have already made
And
eggs.
you got a robot that makes. But you could do this in probably. You do all the downloads in probably a half an hour. Build a robot to do everything for Thanksgiving.
This
Your
brings
robot builder robot could do it for you.
Robbie the robot builder.
Yeah, honestly, you could just have a little Robbie the robot builder who would have a algorithm that predicts what you're probably going to need the next robot for based on your past robot printing histories, and it would just print one off for you. So before you even thought about committing suicide, your robot did it for you.
There's already a robot printing a robot that's going to hang the noose.
Yeah.
What is that rope for?
What are these robots
Just
doing?
wait till you go to work today, Phil.
Don't worry, Master. We're here for you. This is a perfect opportunity to bring it back around.
And Skynet is born.
So, folks, you could put an oven in your robot. Or you could put
a robot in your oven. Either way. In fact, let's build a robot in the oven that has an oven in it.
Folks,
that's the real feat.
You could build a robot in your oven, or you could bake bread in your oven. You know how I feel. Now, it's
Bake
time.
bread on your balls.
Wow. You really tied it right back around. Cory, fuck's sake, man. Let's have some official sassafras tea.
It's late in the afternoon, the sun rising high. There's nothing to do around here, and if there was, well, I wouldn't try. Taking my comforts, taking good care of me. Sitting down in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. Now wouldn't you know it, there goes the phone again. It's probably just another wrong number, but someone trying to sell me something I can't even see. Well, I got the solution, how to deal with this insanity. Just sit down in my easy chair and take a big sip of my sassafras tea. It's getting near evening, the sun going down. I guess I should shake a leg, climb in my car and roll downtown. Check out the city lights, all decked out in a tux and a tie. But I'm sitting in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. Now wouldn't you know it, oh, here come my neighbor Jim. He got the willies and the worries on his mind, and the weight of the world putting pressure on his spine. Well, I got the solution,